Marvel Studios putting their projects on hold. So this is like kind of good news actually, which this thing should have happened. I don't understand why Ironheart isn't on this, but time for another day. So, it says this. Number one, the Blade film is on hold, but Nova and Midnight Suns and other projects unrelated to the multiverse saga are on hold until after Avengers Secret Wars. So obviously, bro, like for someone that has common sense, this makes sense that obviously these films are on hold. Um, so do you think that coming out of Secret Wars, right? They should automatically go into these movies do you think Blade is a movie that they should go right into following Secret Wars? Like with the X-Men and the F4 and all this stuff?
No, I think that they should do an X-Men movie. As much as I would love to see Fantastic Four, like if the mutant saga, if it's going to be the mutant saga, you need to establish the mutants and what the like make the universe feel connected from the jump, because people were craving for any kind of connectivity throughout the multiversal saga. The only post-credit scene that like even means anything now is the one from the Marvels, and that we can't have that problem again. So I think they need to go straight into the mutants.
That's a fair take. That's a very fair take. And you just swayed me over. You swayed me
Right.
because and honestly, bro, like having a movie like Blade, if it's super dark and violent, it's gonna be a good like because like obviously they're going to get into a Fantastic Four 2 and an X-Men. Getting like a solo movie where he's doing his own thing is going to line up with the Punisher and the devil stuff that they're doing as well, you know? And I think that what they are going to see following this whole multiverse tobacco is that them focusing on solo stories that are good, but when we need these guys to be a part of the larger story, they can. I think that's going to really help the MCU a
I
lot.
think they should do more to flesh out the New York City street level universe. Like, do more Daredevil, do more Punisher, and bring in Moon Knight and make that like a real universe. And you could do crossover event movies within that universe while also doing the Mutant Saga. You know, when what? Hold on. What the hell is this comic name that I'm thinking about? It's the big one. Annihilation. Okay. So when Marvel was doing their big Civil War event, the original one in the 2000s, the one the MCU movie is based on, they also did another major event, and it's called Annihilation. It's awesome. You should check it out. Read Civil War first, though. It's way cooler. Not that you have to read it to understand it, but my point is that both it took place at the exact same time, and they had nothing to do with each other. And you could do that in the MCU, and that was always my ambition and aspiration for the MCU during the multiversal saga. And they like didn't even try. They were just making these movies that had nothing to do with each other, but there was no story being pushed forward at all. Yeah, and you
Really.
know, say they have a mutant saga, and there's an X-Men crossover movie. I think there would need to be some more connectivity than there would be from the Civil War and Annihilation that exists in space. But you could talk about the X-Men movie or the conflict in the X-Men movie in your Punisher and Daredevil movie or special event, whatever. But they don't necessarily have to involve each other and cross over from those movies or those stories, but just acknowledge their existence kind of thing. And I think that would be really cool. And I hope to see that and I think it's going to be more important for the Mutant Saga, because when the Mutant Saga comes, we're still going to have the Avengers. We're still going to have the Fantastic Four. And I don't think I don't think everything in the Avengers and Fantastic Four's, worlds need to necessarily revolve around the mutants. But, when you're doing something like House of M or something like that. Like that's a different story.
Yeah.
But I think you get my point. I think that they need to have a universe where there's a main story being driven forward, but that doesn't mean there aren't other stories. Not every story has to. And I think that we've only seen two ends of the spectrum and nothing in between. We've seen the Infinity Saga where basically everything is intertwined, and then we've seen the multiversal saga where nothing's connected at all. And I'm a guy who's always saying, I don't want to write stories. Okay.
Yeah, because
if I was posting my theories on Twitter like some of you clowns, I would probably go a lot further with them. I'll tell you that.
Because with that thought, right, it frees directors to tell like stories that can be very direct to the world it's in. But it also gives them room to where, like, if you need to snag them for Avengers or whatever, like, you know what I mean? You can snag them and it won't seem so unrealistic, because, like, I think that is one of the problems with Pattinson's Batman, right? Is like, you really can't snag Pattinson and put him in the DCU. Like, I'm saying, like, from direct, like, Pattinson now to the DCU now, because it wouldn't make sense, right? Because of the way that this character is so realistic. So that is a very... And I guess they're testing that with Daredevil Born Again. Obviously, that's the testing. Do you think Punisher? Sorry, go ahead.
Like, I mean, where does Daredevil have a place in a movie like Days of Future Past, or So I think they're going to have to think about it a little differently.
True. It's a fair point, and that's where. They're really going to have to go.
As an example, I sometimes I think things are obvious, but I'm going to try bringing down my thoughts a little further, even on the things I think are obvious, just so they're more accessible to everyone.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a really good thought though, bro, because that, number one, expands the range of projects that they can make. But the problem has always been, the problem right now is like, they're making a range of projects, but they're just not good. And a part of that maybe
not good and they're not connected.
Exactly. And as I said, this isn't a cape for anybody, like, because they are wrong for what that they've done. But like, a part of working on the corny characters could be because Feige's scared to take chances on the bigger ones for these shows as well. But given your point of like, yo, let's tell these stories based on the story that it's in. And then we have bigger stories you adapt. Like, it definitely makes sense, and it definitely isn't rocket science.